Give me some details of the operation, one of your bigger operations, how that worked, and what were the stakes, and was it worth it?
Well, how it started was the guy come to the federal halfway house in Oklahoma City. I was there, and I'd been there probably about a month, and I had 5 months there. And at about a month, maybe almost 2 months, here come this guy. I hadn't seen him, and he was like, "Hey, what's going on?" And I was like, "Oh man," I didn't tell on the guy, so he was still there doing his thing, and I said, I'll never sell dope again. I don't want to never see it again. Don't ever want to, I went to federal prison for 10 years. No more, 11, a little over 11 years, 135 months for 4 ounces of phenyl-2-propanol real methamphetamine.
10 years.
Yes, 135 months is what I did. I did 120 on the 135. I did 10 flat on it from 92 to 2002.
What was your...
Was locked up again by 2004 with 285 years plus life. Sold 265 pounds of meth, and all in ounces in 11 different counties here in Oklahoma. During that period when I got out, I wasn't out long, but and then I went a while. I thought, when I got out, I told the guy I'll never sell dope again. Well, he gave me a piece of paper with his phone number on it, and I just folded it up in some of my stuff, put it in a little Walmart bag, and throw that in the closet. When I got back, and about 4 or 5 months later, I got tired of walking around. I didn't have a ride. Thing wasn't going good. I wasn't able to do what I wanted to do, not even close. And I thought, well, okay, I know the solution. I'll just give this guy a call. Well, boy, I did. He just started laughing. He was laughing at me. He said, "Come to Oklahoma City." I went up there. They give me 2 pounds of meth, a set of scales, a big set of triple beams in a brown paper bag, 2 pounds of meth. He said, "I'm going to drive you down to Ziggy's, and then you go in there and you get your cut by the pound. Park at Brahms and go in there at Brahms and get you a milkshake and keep the heat off of you." He said, "Don't just pull up in Ziggy's, run in there and get a pound of cut and go, because that's not how it works. This is how it works. You park at Brahms, walk across the street over to get the cut, and then go back. But you go into Brahms."
What would you
or vice versa.
What was the cut anyway?
Well, back in the day, there was a Superior B. It was called Superior B. Well, that was before they started smoking it. And then plus, when I got out in 2002, there wasn't the phenyl-2-propanol. It wasn't the old P2P dope anymore. It was ephedrine-based. This was all cooked in big clandestine laboratories down in Juarez, Mexico. Big labs, just producing big quantities of it and getting it up here,
Yeah.
And
down in Mexico, huh?
Yeah, oh yeah, that's where it all was coming from.
So, the first 10 years that you did for the 4 ounces, how did you get busted for that sentence? What was this?
I was, boy, I'll tell you what, this is a story in itself. I was on my way to Kansas, and I was going deer hunting up there. I'd already took a hunter safety course, had the orange Kansas card. I was legal as you could be. Had a couple of guns in the back. I was legal as you could be, other than I had a mason jar full of this friend of mine had grown a big old marijuana plant in his backyard, and I made a deal with him on some meth and got the weed. And we just stuck the big buds down in the jar and then took a pair of scissors and cut them. Well, that jar was stuffed. It was my last one. And I took it to Kansas with me. Well, I got about 3/4 of the way there, and when I topped this hill, there was an orange cone, an orange cone, and an orange cone, and the cones kept.
Pause. So, Tell us at the beginning of the first bust, the first 11 years. Give me the layout.
Well, what actually got them on me, I was on my way to Kansas. I was going up there to hang out with some strippers that I had met while I was up there on a construction job. I'd go down to this little bar afterwards, and well, they'd get up there and dance or whatever. And I was going up there to hang out because I'd stopped by there so many times, I kind of got to friendly with them. So I was going to hang out with them, party with them. So I had some party supplies. And man, let me tell you, there was a old-fashioned way you could like glue a plastic cup on your top of your dash. You could glue it's like a round deal. You put it on there, and then you just slide the cup inside there, and it would stay on there. I had about 3/4 of an ounce of really good cocaine inside there, smashed with the lid on it. Well, when I got 3/4 of the way to Kansas, I run into a road stop, about 25 Kansas State troopers and all kinds of people. Well, the orange cones just led me over to, veered me over into a rest stop is what it was. They had it planned right where I had to pull into like a rest area where they had a restroom and stuff. And I just had my driver's license ready, and I held it out. I tried. I held it out, and the guy, he wouldn't even go for it. He's like, pull it over. Well, they had dogs. Well, I was going up there for deer hunting. I was legal on that part. I wasn't going up there to sell no drugs. I was just going up there to party. I didn't sell drugs then. And anyway, I guess because the roads had been a little bumpy, that shotgun barrel had kind of veered over, and then there were so many cops around that station wagon that they said, "Hey, what's that?" Well, I had it on a pallet in the back on a blanket laid out flat. Didn't have really nothing else back there, and had a blanket laid over it where you couldn't see them, but it had shifted over, and I didn't know it because I was almost 3/4 of the way there. Well, and then I had to explain to them they wasn't loaded. There wasn't. I was going up there to hunt. Had to Kansas. Had took a hunter's safety course. Had my Kansas hunting license. I was legal. Good driver's license, insurance, a whole 9 yards. But because of that weed, they got me.
They didn't find your coke?
No. I went to jail, had to call my grandparents to get me out. They had some money transferred up there, got me an attorney, and got me out of that, got me bonded out. And I went back home, and boy, let me tell you, it was when I got the car out of impoundment, that cup was still there, and I took that lid off. That cocaine was still in that cup. Boy, it would have been bad. I would have went to the penitentiary. I would have went to the penitentiary there because I ended up getting a probation. But because I went across the state line with those guns, that invited the feds, the DEA, the U.S. Marshal, there was 3 of them, come to my house. Just so happened, there was a cedar tree down below the hill, and I had a pound of that really good meth down there buried under the tree, down there about a foot under where I could get to it, really under the pine needles. Wasn't even in the dirt. It was just that deep of pine needles. Got it and had what I needed, and some people was coming by there to get it. And when I got the car back out of the impoundment, boy, I raised the cup, took the lid off, and sure enough, everything was still in there, and that saved me. It would have really been bad.
Where'd you take the coke to?
I went on back to the house, and I kind of pumped my brakes after that. I was kind of slowed my motion down for a minute, and for just about a week or so, and then I got it until I found out that I got an attorney that could get it, start helping me with it, where I'm not going to go to prison. Yeah. You know what I mean? So then I kind of pumped my chest back out there and took off again. Okay. Kept on going, and one morning, the morning they arrived, I went down there and dug up the 4 ounces. And come back up there to the house. And when I come up around the corner, there was a guy standing there within 15 foot of me. There was like a Mercedes-Benz, looked like a Mercedes-Benz right there, or a Federal, some type of car that wasn't right. And there was 2 people in it. Well, once they seen me, they got out. Well, the agent was already up there on the front porch. And he was like, "Are you Harlem Evans?" And I was like, "No, he lives down the street." And he said, "Okay," and he had a black vest on, and he opened it up like that, and there was a picture of me this big. He said, "It looks just like you to me, up against the wall." And by that time, all three of them dudes hit me, blam, blam, blam. I think I had 4,500 in my left pocket, 4 ounces of crank in the other one, and that's what got me. They took me right in and there. But why they was coming there, but just because they had a reason. I mean, they was wanting to know, I'll come across state lines with some guns, and they want to know, just what all's really going on. It was the bad timing. They picked a perfect time for them to come there, and bad time for me. Come right around the corner, and there they was. They got me. And next thing you know, I'm on my way to Oklahoma County Jail up in Oklahoma City. I'm from way out there in the country.
So, just so people know, you said you had 4,500 in your pocket and you had some crank in your other pocket. Because just so people know what crank is or was, tell us what.
That was just pure methamphetamine. You just do a line of crank, you wouldn't be eating nothing for at least 48 hours. And, you would after a couple of days, you'd want to eat something. But the good stuff, no, you wouldn't be eating and drinking much. You'd have to force yourself to consume anything.
Doesn't that make you have to shit after you do a line of it?
Oh, if some of the people that would do a shot, I never shot none of it, but there was plenty of hundreds of people that, that do, and it was something else.
What happened on the way back when did you ever know the cops were starting to be on your trail after that week? Like, did you
What,
have
the first time? The first time?
Yeah, was it like
Well, no, because that happened up in Kansas, and I lived down in Oklahoma, so I was miles away from that. So I didn't think that they would just be showing up like that out of the clear blue. And I didn't really know the difference between a FBI, a DEA, a U.S. Federal Marshal. All of them showed up because of the guns, the ATF. All three of those people was ATF, U.S. Marshal, and a DEA agent.
So you walk outside, what do you see?
I was coming around the corner, and they got me and pressed me up against the wall. We never made it inside. They got me right then and there. Then they went in there and, looked around. I didn't have nothing else in there.
Oh, so you didn't even get to...
Yeah, I didn't have no gun. And I'm going to tell you why. Because my dad told me. He come up there and made sure I didn't. After I had the federal problems up there in Kansas, he said, "Now you're a felon. And you can't be around a gun." I had a lifetime hunting license. It ruined my hunting career. I was still before any problems.
Yeah.
But then I lost my right to hunt. Yeah, and even though I had a lifetime, I still do have a lifetime hunting license. I guess I could bow hunt. I don't know. I haven't even done that.
You could probably bow hunt still.
But
I'm thinking. So
yeah.
So that was the first one, and they got you.
Yeah, and I went on to prison and did all that time and got out.
So what was your what did you think about going to prison after they had sentenced you? You're in the courtroom and they sentenced you, and what was your initial feeling after that? Did you already have your kids at the time?
Oh, my 2 kids, just a deal. They was up in Kansas with my ex-wife and now ex-wife, and they come by the house during then, and one of those agents told them this would go on. They come by to see me. They'd been up in Kansas because I was down in Oklahoma. I was starting to run wild again, where I didn't want to communicate with them, and just doing this, doing that.
Yeah. And so, what was your first, when you got to prison, what was your plans to how to survive? What was going through your mind? Tell those people who
I'm just going to tell you that.
Jail.
Well, I'm just going to tell you how it was. As soon as I got there, I run into this big Indian. He was a big one. He told me, "Hey, you might want to go to the weight pile before someone hangs a skirt on you." And I said, "Well, where's it at?" I wasn't trying to argue with this big monster, you know what I mean? And I was 150 pounds when I first started, when I first went, first went in. 29 years old and was weighed 150 pounds. I just hadn't really matured out. But let me tell you, once I got in there, I'll never forget that first night I went down there and got one of them curl bars, and I just curled it so many times that the next morning I couldn't even get the shampoo into my head. My arms was already locking up, and I had to go through all that. But then I just done it and I asked somebody was bench pressing 405, 4 plates on each side, and I was like, my God, that's a lot. And the bar was kind of arced up, it was quite a bit. And the guy said, that's 405. He said, it takes about 5 years to do that. You have to work hard for. And then, sure enough, went on to be my 5th year at Texarkana. Into my 5th year, I did that,
Wow.
and ended up being able to add a nickel on each side to 415. So I did.
He's pushing some weight.
Yeah.
What kind of,
I just lived and breathed it. I lived, for years. It would just be right out there. You could hear the weights clanging all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, you live there. You go home and get cleaned up, and what are you going to do? Go back and sit and watch somebody else work out? Some of the other people I'm hung out with or whatever.
In prison, is that like the safe zone to like people don't fuck with
man.
weights,
At Texarkana, they had a nice one up overlooking the tennis courts. They had another one that started at, first base at the softball field and went all the way around to third base with a overhead awning around it with fluorescent lights.
Damn.
All your benches, upside down, just everything. They had everything.
Freeway.
Then they had a gymnasium with the glass mirror wall. The whole corner section of the gym was set up for weights, big machine weights and all kinds of stuff, squat rack, deadlifting section, mirrors for that, pull down machine, pull-ups, you name it, they had it. And then they had a full-length basketball court there that would hold 600 people at Texarkana. It was a nice place, really. It had 18-hole putt-putt golf. 18-hole putt-putt golf. It was really nice. It had pottery, leather shop. Had a big TV room up there, showed movies, which they had another room you could go into. But in federal prison, you can't have a TV.